For years, Google's Pixel phones have occupied a curious space in the smartphone world, a paradox wrapped in sleek aluminum and glass. On one hand, they've consistently delivered some of the most intelligent, intuitive, and emotionally resonant camera experiences on any device. Their computational photography doesn't just capture moments, it interprets them, enhancing light, color, and depth in ways that feel almost human. On the other hand, many Pixel users have quietly endured a different reality beneath the surface: dropped calls in crowded subway stations, sudden battery drains during video calls, or that unnerving warmth radiating from the back of the phone during a simple navigation session. These weren't deal-breakers for die-hard fans, but they were persistent frustrations, small cracks in an otherwise elegant facade. But now something is shifting. Not with fanfare or flashy marketing campaigns, but through quiet engineering decisions that could redefine what it means to own a Pixel. Google is finally about to make a move, one so fundamental, so deeply embedded in the hardware stack, that it might change the game for Pixel users forever. And no, this isn't about adding another lens, tweaking the bezel thickness, or rolling out another AI-powered wallpaper generator. This is about the invisible backbone of your daily smartphone experience: connectivity. More precisely, the modem, the unsung hero, or silent saboteur, that determines whether your phone feels like a seamless extension of your life, or a temperamental gadget you're constantly troubleshooting. Recent leaks, corroborated by multiple supply chain sources and firmware analysts, point toward a dramatic pivot in Google's hardware strategy with the upcoming Pixel 11 Pro. After years of relying on Samsung-sourced modems, first in the Exynos variants and later integrated into custom Tensor chips, Google appears ready to sever that partnership in favor of something far more ambitious: MediaTek's next-generation M95G modem. At first glance, that might sound like just another spec sheet upgrade. But look closer, and you'll see this isn't merely a component swap, it's a philosophical realignment. The MediaTek M90 isn't just fast, it's intelligent. Built on a Thurn-M process and designed from the ground up with heterogeneous computing in mind, it supports dual-active 5G connections, meaning your phone can simultaneously use both sub-6 GHz and mmWave networks without toggling between them. That translates to smoother handoffs when moving between urban centers and rural highways, consistent streaming quality even in dense environments like stadiums or airports, and download speeds that peak at a staggering 12 gigabits per second. But here's where it gets truly interesting. MediaTek has embedded AI-driven signal optimization directly into the modem's architecture. Instead of brute forcing connectivity and burning through battery, the M90 dynamically adjusts power output based on real-time network conditions, your movement patterns, and even ambient temperature. Early internal benchmarks suggest this could reduce modem-related power consumption by up to 30% compared to previous generations, a figure that directly impacts one of the Pixel's oldest pain points: inconsistent battery life under 5G load. And then there's the thermal story. Anyone who's held a Pixel 7 Pro or Pixel 8 Pro during extended GPS navigation knows that uncomfortable heat buildup near the top edge of the device. That wasn't just discomfort. It was a symptom of inefficient radio management. With the M90's refined thermal profile and smarter antenna tuning algorithms, Google engineers are reportedly redesigning the internal layout of the Pixel 11 Pro to accommodate better airflow, repositioned RF modules, and even new vapor chamber materials. The result: a phone that not only performs cooler under stress, but also feels more balanced and comfortable during prolonged use. Something tactile yet profoundly meaningful in daily interaction. But perhaps the most transformative possibility lies beyond terrestrial networks altogether. Multiple firmware strings discovered in early Android 16 builds reference satellite communication protocols tied directly to the modem layer, not as an add-on-chip, but as a native capability of the M90 itself. If implemented, this would mean the Pixel 11 Pro could send and receive emergency messages via low Earth orbit satellites, even when miles away from cell towers. Imagine hiking in the Rockies, sailing along the Pacific coast, or driving through remote desert highways, and still being able to call for help if needed. This isn't science fiction. Apple and Huawei have already dipped their toes into this space. But for Google, integrating satellite connectivity at the modem level, rather than bolting it on as an afterthought, could position the Pixel not just as a communication device, but as a genuine lifeline. Now, let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this matter beyond specs and features? Because for too long, the Pixel brand has been defined by duality: brilliance in software and imaging, compromise in foundational reliability. Critics often joked that Pixels were best used in airplane mode, a jab that stung because it contained a kernel of truth. Google's strength has always been its AI and cloud integration, but hardware execution lagged behind its vision. With the Pixel 11 Pro, however, we're seeing signs of a more mature, holistic approach. The rumored Tensor G6 chip, developed with Samsung but now tightly coupled with MediaTek's modem, promises not just raw performance, but contextual awareness. It can learn your usage rhythms, dimming background processes when you're reading, prioritizing cellular bandwidth during video calls, or even preloading navigation data when it detects you're about to leave home. This isn't just efficiency, it's empathy engineered into silicon. And it's not just the Pro model benefiting. Leaks suggest the entire Pixel 11 lineup, including a standard model, a larger Pro XL, and possibly a refined Pixel Fold, will share this new connectivity foundation. That means even budget-conscious buyers could enjoy more stable calls, longer battery endurance, and cooler operation across the board. For a company that prides itself on democratizing innovation, this kind of cross-tier consistency would be a significant step forward. Consider the ripple effects. Better modem efficiency means less strain on the battery, which in turn allows Google to optimize software updates more aggressively, without fearing that background AI features will drain power overnight. Cleaner thermals mean sustained performance during gaming or video editing, eliminating the throttling that plagued earlier models. Stronger signal penetration could improve voice call clarity in basements or elevators, a subtle but daily frustration many overlook until it's fixed. These aren't headline-grabbing features, but they're the quiet upgrades that transform a good phone into a trusted one. The kind you stop thinking about because it simply works. Of course, none of this guarantees success. Rumors remain unconfirmed, and Google has a history of promising bold hardware visions that arrive half-baked. Remember the Soli radar in the Pixel 4? Or the initial Tensor chip's overheating issues? Skepticism is healthy, but the consistency of these leaks, from firmware traces to supply chain reports to insider briefings, suggests Google isn't just tinkering. It's making a calculated bet that the future of smartphones isn't just about megapixels or foldable screens, but about invisible reliability. In an era where every flagship looks and feels increasingly similar, true differentiation might lie in how well a device disappears into your routine, how effortlessly it connects, endures, and adapts without demanding your attention. If the Pixel 11 Pro delivers on even 80% of these promises, it could mark a turning point, not just for Google, but for the Android ecosystem at large. It would signal that a software-first company can finally build hardware that matches its ambition. And for long-time Pixel users who've tolerated quirks for the sake of camera magic, this might be the generation that finally makes them say, "This is the one." So here's a thought to carry with you. What if the most revolutionary feature of your next phone isn't something you see, but something you no longer notice? No more dropped Zoom calls during important meetings. No more frantic battery anxiety at 3 p.m. No more avoiding 5G because it turns your phone into a hand warmer. Just seamless, dependable performance that lets you focus on your life, not your device. That's the promise whispering through these leaks. And if Google follows through, the Pixel 11 Pro won't just be another flagship. It could become the quiet benchmark for what a truly user-centered smartphone should feel like in 2026 and beyond. Now, I'm genuinely curious. After years of loving Pixel cameras but wrestling with daily hiccups, would reliable connectivity and smarter thermals be enough to win back your full trust? Or do you think Google should have addressed these fundamentals long ago? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I rate every single one. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve with deep dives like this, no hype, no fluff, just clear, research-backed insights on the tech that actually shapes your daily life, make sure you're subscribed to Tech Gadget. We break down complex updates into stories you can understand, because the future shouldn't feel confusing. Your next favorite phone might be closer than you think, and we'll be here to help you see it clearly.